provided to law enforcement officers.
Have you been able to gather additional details beyond the criminal complaint that would indicate why he did this?
That's not a question that I'm prepared to answer at this time. I will again tell you there is additional information that is not contained in the criminal complaint.
How did we know exactly where she lived?
That's stated in the criminal complaint. He was driving, I believe it was either to or home from work, saw a school bus, saw her, and had made the decision at that point that he was going to take her.
And he watched her go from the school bus into her home?
I don't think that's specifically stated in the criminal complaint, but that's where he observed her.
Is this every parent's worst nightmare?
I think most of us here, if not, were parents, and it certainly is something that gives us all pause.
Has he shown any remorse?
I have seen him for the first time today in court.
When did he see her get on that school bus? The criminal complaint doesn't say that.
Yeah.
How long had he been, for lack of a better term, targeting her, I guess?
Again, I'm not prepared to answer that at this time.
How important is it for you to get a conviction in this case, given the national media scope of everything here?
It's extremely important. It's extremely important because we are seeking justice. We have two parents of a 13-year-old who are deceased. We have a 13-year-old who was abducted for 88 days against her will forcibly. It doesn't get any more serious than that. And I assure you that these prosecutors here, all of us, want justice for both James and Denise and for Jamie.
You know how much time there was between when he saw her on the bus and when he actually acted?
Again, I'm not going to answer specific factual information beyond what was stated in the criminal complaint at this time.
Listed in the criminal complaint?
Criminal complaint establishes probable cause for the charges that have been filed.
In the criminal complaint, there's no mention of any potential molestation. Because it didn't happen or leaving that out.
Again, no comment on that at this time.
Sir, could you tell me about the gathering of evidence at the scene? Have you, as the Barron County Sheriff, done a good job at this point from what you can see? Or is there any mistakes or any concerns that you have of the gathering of evidence in this case?
The law enforcement work, and that includes Barron County Sheriff's Department as well as other law enforcement agencies. As I indicated at an earlier press conference, there were hundreds of officers who assisted. The work that they have done has been incredible. And that, I believe, with all of my heart, is one of the reasons that this all came together the way it did for Jamie to now be safely home. If you think about it, the fact that a stranger would have recognized Jamie, that was because of the work of law enforcement. The fact that Douglas County deputies acted so quickly was again because of the work of all of the law enforcement officers who had involvement in this case. I can't speak highly enough of the work they did. Jamie deserves enormous credit as a 13-year-old, and she has such bravery to have done what she had done. But there were many, many others as well that if all those pieces had not fallen into place on that particular afternoon, the outcome could have been very different.
Sir, the criminal complaint makes it sound like the deputy actually witnessed Patterson's vehicle exiting the crime scene or on the road coming away from the crime scene. Why were we not told about that vehicle, and was that need thoroughly investigated?
Again, I think you had prior interviews with Sheriff Fitzgerald, and I believe he felt that was information that should not be disclosed at the time. We're now in the process of proceeding with the prosecution, so it was the appropriate time to release that
If
information.
this goes to trial, are you going to have Jamie testify?
That's a decision that will be made much later than today. At this point, we have no intention of having her have to testify at any proceedings coming up.
You mentioned that there may be more information coming out of Douglas County. Do you have a timeline for when you are hoping to release more information?
I would anticipate having more information on that before his next court date in February.
Are there any discussions of a plea deal yet?
I'm sorry, any?
Plea deal discussions yet?
No.
Will you consider having him undergo a mental health evaluation?
Again, that would be done through motions, and no motions asking for that have been filed at this time.
If he remains in jail, will he be allowed to have visitors?
That's a jail policy. I don't have an answer for you.
How are the deputies who have been investigating this case doing, especially the ones who responded to that initial scene?
I think they're doing fine. As you can tell from the criminal complaint, it was a gruesome scene, but they're trained. I think many of them have had experiences. So it's not an easy job, we all know that, but they're doing fine.
What about the visitors that went to Patterson's home? Did they have any inkling that something was off?
Again, I have no information to give you other than what I've stated in the criminal complaint about that.
Have you interviewed other people besides the people that are cited in the criminal complaint about Patterson or maybe his motives?
No,
Do you plan on?
I haven't. I'm sure law enforcement has.
It sounds as if this was random. Do you know a motive yet, or are you still trying to find that out?
At this time, I'm going to leave it to what's in the criminal complaint. Again, there is more information that will come out as the proceedings continue.
Did you talk about Jamie as a witness, and are you going to have to talk to her further interviews down the road to get more information? You were in that first night when she was in the hospital, how much did she just have a lot of details and just kept on talking? Or?
Again, no one here was present for that. That was law enforcement. That was victim witness coordinators and advocates. And so I've seen Jamie in terms of the photographs and the stories about her. She just seems like an incredible young woman, but I have not yet met her.
Can you expand on Jamie's escape? Did she have to break out of the home, or did she let herself out of the door?
The criminal complaint indicates that she was able to push herself out from under the bed and that she put on Patterson's shoes. They were on the wrong feet, but she was able, then she walked out the front door and saw Ms. Hutter, and at that point made the statements that she was in need of help.
It says that she left after he had left. Was it immediate? Did she wait a couple hours? Do you know how quickly she tried to escape upon him going where he needed to go?
Again, I'm going to stay with the information in the complaint for now.
The criminal complaint says that Jamie had told detectives that Patterson's dad would often visit on Saturdays. Are you all going to be talking to any of his family, including his dad, who was in that house, according to Jamie?
Again, I don't know what the status of the law enforcement investigation is at this point. That would be a question for them.
Patterson had a number of people visit the house while Jamie was there. Is there any indication that those people assisted in this crime in any shape, way, or form, or do you still believe that Patterson acted alone?
At this point, we've charged based on the information in the reports that I have received. We've charged what we believe happened. So the answer to that is no. All right. Any other questions? Why don't we take two more? If there are no other questions, thank you all. Yes. Yes, and as I indicated, everything had to fall into place that afternoon for it to have happened. 10 minutes either way on either side. I just, it doesn't take much imagination to figure out what likely would have been the result. So, yes, best case outcome. We're so grateful for Jamie and her safe return. And now it's time for us to obtain justice for her and for her parents.
What does it say about Jamie's bravery or courage to be able to do something like this after nearly 3 months in captivity?
Unbelievable. She's 13 years old. And if you read the criminal complaint, you can see the amount of control that he was exerting over her. And at some point, she found it within herself at 13 years old to say, I'm going to get myself out of this situation. I think it's incredible.
Prosecutor, any idea why he did this? We understand the details that he told us with the criminal complaint. What was the motivation? Why this control over this young girl? Why did he do this?
Yeah, again, I'm not going to speak beyond the information in the complaint at this point. There is more information that, as we proceed, that will be made available, whether it's through these court proceedings and the motions that we have, or if we have a trial, the trial itself. So there's more, but at this point, I'm going to rely on what's in the complaint and limit my remarks to that. I think it gives a pretty good explanation for what occurred, why we filed the charges we did, and we'll proceed from there with further proceedings in the case.
Do you believe this is going to trial?
At this point, we have every reason to believe it will go to trial, yes.
Sir, did he explain why he was so eager to confess every detail?
Again, let me say we're probably getting late for everyone. We'll do that question and one more. I don't want to go beyond what's in the criminal complaint.
Does the outcome of this case give us more hope for missing children cases going forward?
Yes.
Why? Okay, Brian, that's enough.
Okay, thank you.
As the Barron County District Attorney Brian Wright holding a news conference after Jake Patterson's initial appearance in Barron County Court.
Yep, charged today with 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide, 1 count of kidnapping, and 1 count of armed burglary. And the district attorney said they will work to get justice for James and Denise Kloss, and of course, justice for Jamie.
He wasn't offering many other details besides what's in the criminal complaint, which was released today, but Patterson will be back in court February 6th at 11 a.m. And go ahead.
We'll have more on the Jamie Kloss story coming up later this hour, but the other big story today is the weather and a winter weather advisory that's in effect for parts of the viewing area.
Suddenly, it's an alert day. It's kind of a gray day outside, but the weather words: careful on the roads tonight. Dana Fulton is in the backyard weather patio. All of a sudden, we have a weather advisory.
Yes. Several winter weather advisories, actually, guys, issued throughout the entire state. We have advisories issued until midnight, some until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. As right now, we are watching a line of flurries, notice up to the northern portion of the state, moving southeast. That's all associated with the cold front, and that line is going to turn into more of a freezing rain and freezing drizzle mix. And the problem with that coming through this evening is that it could lead to some pretty slick roads tonight, and temperatures will stay below freezing in the mid-20s as we head into tomorrow morning. So any moisture that's out on the grounds will certainly freeze by tomorrow morning. Looking at our high-resolution Doppler, you notice we're not seeing anything currently in southern Wisconsin. I've seen a few snowflakes swirl by, so barely even some light flurries right now, but the freezing rain hasn't officially arrived just yet. Right now we're at 27 in Madison and in Janesville. It's been holding steady there really for much of the day. There is a bit of a breeze right now, so it does feel just a little cooler than where our actual temperatures are at, only by a degree or 2. Now notice that breeze coming from the southwest. It is going to shift and become a little more northerly, a little more cooler for us heading overnight and into tomorrow. Cloudy outside as the freezing drizzle comes through in certain areas. Other areas will still be under quite a cloud deck. Temps are going to hold steady in the mid to upper 20s for us overnight. We won't drop too much overnight. And then again, as we head into tomorrow, the clouds stay, but the freezing drizzle is going to wrap up for us early in the morning. We'll be in the mid-30s for afternoon highs tomorrow, and then the cooler air will be moving in later on as we head into the evening, and by the time we get into Wednesday. That's in the sky. On the roads right now throughout Dane County, things actually look okay for us. The Beltline is all green, both east and westbound. 39 also looks good towards Middleton. Seeing a little bit of traffic right by downtown, but not major congestion for us. Drives near Baraboo, Portage, and towards Lone Rock on 14 and 12 and 51 all seem to be okay right now. Lots of green, and the the speeds on the road seem to be okay. For the Beltline from University Avenue to Verona, 7 minutes. Verona Road to John Nolan, just 4, and then another 4 minutes to take you from John Nolan to 39. So that's all green and all where we should see those numbers, those drive times at. The roads are okay, but again, they could be very slick this evening. And again, for tomorrow morning, we'll take a closer look at some of the ice accumulation possibly expected for us in just a few minutes.
All right, we will see you in a few minutes. Dana, thank you.
Thank you, Dana. Jake Thomas Patterson made his initial court appearance through video this afternoon, as we just saw, and many of the questions being asked were answered in a criminal complaint that was released just ahead of Patterson's initial hearing.
Jamie Perez has details about that criminal complaint and some of the disturbing new details that we are learning. Jamie?
Yeah, that criminal complaint, there's a lot to digest here, so just bear with me as I get through this. Patterson is charged with 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide, 1 count of kidnapping, 1 count of armed burglary. Now, according to the criminal complaint that was released this afternoon, Patterson told police many details about his plans and intentions behind all of this, which you may find disturbing. Now, according to that criminal complaint, Patterson was planning to kidnap someone for a while. Patterson worked at the Saputo cheese factory just 2 days before quitting, but on one of the mornings that he was working, he stopped behind a school bus where he saw Jamie get off of it. He didn't know who she was at the time, but he decided that she was the one that he was going to kidnap. He told police that he went to great lengths to conceal his identity to prepare for this, including buying a mask, wearing gloves, and shaving his head and face so that he wouldn't leave any hair or DNA behind. He also said he stole license plates off a car nearby so he wouldn't be spotted with his own license plates the night that he kidnapped Jamie. Now, Patterson said that he tried to kidnap her twice before, several weeks before he was actually able to do so. One time he said there were too many cars in the driveway. The second time, too many lights were on. On October 15th, Patterson grabbed his father's 12-gauge Mossberg pump shotgun, saying he knew it was one of the most heavily manufactured shotguns and would be the most difficult to trace and the best gun to kill someone with. He also said he wiped down everything so there would be no trace of DNA left there at the scene. Patterson told police that he approached the home and James Kloss had asked him to show his badge. After shining a light on Patterson through the window, Patterson then shot at him and James collapsed at the door. Patterson then searched the home and found Jamie and her mom Denise barricaded in the bathroom and hiding in the shower with Denise's arms wrapped around Jamie. Patterson handed Denise a roll of black duct tape and told her to wrap the tape around Jamie's mouth. He said she was struggling to do so, so he did it himself and then taped her wrists and ankles before he shot Denise in the head. He took Jamie outside and put her in the trunk of his car. Patterson told police that he thought he was only driving for about 20 seconds before he heard sirens headed towards the home and said that if police had stopped him, he would have shot at police. In his initial court appearance this afternoon, the district attorney asked his bail to be set at $5 million cash.
Kept the shotgun shell inside of his house for 2 weeks in case the police came. He remained in hiding after abducting Jamie for 88 days before he was apprehended. Your Honor, all of this indicates the defendant is a flight risk, a danger to the public, and he is unlikely to further return for further court proceedings without an exceedingly high cash bail.
Also, according to that criminal complaint, Patterson kept Jamie hidden under his twin-size bed, which was elevated about 2.5 feet above the ground. Patterson used things around his house, like weights, to barricade where she was and make it more difficult for her to get out. Patterson told police he would often yell at her to scare her, telling her that if she ever tried to leave, bad things would happen to her. Jamie told police he would keep her in there for up to 12 hours sometimes without food, water, or bathroom breaks. When Jamie escaped, she told police that Patterson told her he would be leaving for a while, and that is the moment when Jamie was able to get herself out and run for help. There's obviously a lot to process from this criminal complaint. I'll have more in-depth details about what Jamie said in this complaint. A lot of this was based off of what detectives got from their interview with Patterson. So coming up at 5, I'll have more from Jamie's perspective.
And even with all of those details, we still do not know why. Right. We don't know the motive in this horrific crime.
There's a lot of questions still left to be answered, so we'll have those details hopefully as they unfold and become available to us.
What a strong young woman. An incredible ending
Hero.
to this. Hero. Jamie, thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Today is just the beginning of what figures to be a closely watched legal process.
The Barron County DA says he will not be providing any more details on the case with regard to the court proceedings. Eric Franke has more details on a press conference that happened just moments ago. Eric?
Yeah, you heard a lot there from Jamie with regard to the criminal complaint that was released today. The DA now being very careful to make sure all the T's are crossed, the I's dotted. When it comes to this legal process, he clearly wants to make sure that this is a fair trial, reminding reporters and the public that Patterson still has that presumption of innocence. And Brian Wright, the DA, reiterated a few of the details in that criminal complaint in a press conference that followed that court proceeding you just saw. He really didn't get much into the details of that criminal complaint, but Brian Wright said today marked the first time he had seen Jake Patterson when he made that initial appearance via video conference today in court in Barron County. He wants to make it clear they want a fair trial, have justice for the Kloss family, and be certain Patterson is convicted.
The prosecution team that you see assembled here today wants justice for James and Denise Kloss and for Jamie Kloss. I assure you that while you will not receive public statements from my office about this case, the prosecutors who I have introduced and myself will be working hard to convict the defendant of the charges filed against him.
And also on that prosecution team is DA Mark Fruhoff. He's the district attorney in Douglas County. It is important to point out that any potential crimes against Jamie Kloss that happen in that cabin in Douglas County, anything that happened to her at all would be separate charges, and they would be filed by Fruhoff in Douglas County. DA Fruhoff says there may be more updates on potential charges for Patterson in Douglas County before the next court appearance for Patterson, which, as we mentioned, as you guys mentioned a short time ago, 11 a.m. on February 6th. Mark and Susan.
All right, Eric, thank you.
You're welcome.
In other news today, the partial government shutdown has entered its 24th day with no end in sight. Nicole Killian reports from the White House.
It's already the longest government shutdown in U.S. history, but President Trump says it won't end until Congress agrees to build a border wall.
The government remains shut down For one reason and one reason only, the Democrats will not fund border security.
At a farmers' convention in New Orleans, Mr. Trump said congressional Democrats are playing politics with national security.
We're dealing against people who think that if they can stop me from building the wall, again, we've already done a lot of work, but they think that's a good thing for 2020.
Democrats say the government will reopen as soon as the president stops insisting on $5.7 billion for the wall.
What we don't want to do is waste taxpayer money on a vanity project that's ineffective that the president said Mexico would pay for.
The shutdown's impact is increasingly being felt around the country, and not just by the 800,000 federal workers who've been furloughed or are working without pay. Long delays in security lines are being seen at some airports. On Monday, the Transportation Security Administration reported a spike in the number of screeners calling out sick. But the TSA says its security standards and procedures have not been compromised. Nicole Killian, CBS News, the White House.
And unions that represent air traffic controllers and federal law enforcement officials are now calling for an end to the shutdown. They say it's created a dangerous situation that could threaten public safety.
President Trump is pushing back after 2 reports about his possible dealings with Russia. The Washington Post reported the president went to great lengths to hide the details of a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin, even taking the notes from his own interpreter. The New York Times reported the FBI opened an investigation into whether or not the president is secretly working on behalf of Russia following the firing of former FBI Director James Comey.
I never worked for Russia. Not only did I never work for Russia, I think it's a disgrace that you even asked that question.
This president has expelled over 60 Russians from this country, closed 2 consulates. Our Treasury Department right over there has issued fresh new sanctions on Russia.
Many of us would argue that while those sanctions have been put in place, the Trump administration has been very slow at implementing those sanctions.
House Democrats are expected to ramp up investigations. The Oversight Committee will hold a public hearing with President Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, next month.
Well, still to come at 4 is the Super Bowl for the auto industry.
And the awards rival the Oscars. We'll head to the Detroit Auto Show for the Car and Truck of the Year award winners when Live at 4 continues. Welcome back, everyone. It's called the Oscars of the Auto Awards.
3 prizes for car, truck, and sport utility vehicle of the year were handed out in Detroit. Meg Oliver shows us how Hyundai walked away the big winner.
The Genesis G70.
Genesis took home the Car of the Year award at the North American International Auto Show in Detroit. The sporty G70 beat out Honda and Volvo for the top prize.
You cannot imagine how much this means for us as a brand.
Genesis is the luxury brand owned by Hyundai, which collected a second big prize.
The Hyundai Kona.
The Kona won for Utility of the Year. The SUV also comes in an electric version. It's only the 5th time in 25 years one automaker captured 2 of the 3 awards. And it even seemed to surprise Hyundai.
This was very unexpected.
It was really interesting to see that that vehicle was the winner.
Roadshow's Chris Paukert is a vice president of the awards panel and one of the 54 automotive journalists who picked the winners.
I think the wild card really was the Kona Electric. You know, it's a full electric vehicle that has well over 200 miles of range.
During the show, Paukert announced the final award for Truck of the Year.
The Ram 1500.
The Dodge Ram 1500 bested Chevy and GMC. Judges considered more than just power and capacity. Today's pickups also come with luxury.
What we call in the business cowboy Cadillacs. You know, they've got incredible, rich, stitched leather. That vehicle has the best ride quality of any full-size pickup.
This isn't the first time Dodge picked up the award. Ram also won Truck of the Year in 2013. Meg Oliver, CBS News, New York.
Good news for Hyundai, that's for sure. Our Harvey Briggs is at the Detroit Auto Show. He'll have his own report later this week. He's also on later in this program. We're going to test drive the Mazda CX-5.
All right, very good. Small SUV. Weak economic news from China brought stocks down on Wall Street today. The Dow fell 86 points, closing at 23,909. The Nasdaq Composite Index lost 65, and the S&P 500 was off 13.
We'll be right back. Take a look at this. Chevy should make a commercial out of it. Winter weather was no match for a pickup truck in Missouri. A man used it to help pull multiple 18-wheelers up an icy hill on a St. Louis highway. Adam Bossler, who posted the video, says his truck weighs around 30,000 pounds when empty. He credits the Good Samaritan with getting him home to his family. The eye-opening show of muscle left a lasting impression on everyone involved. How can that little truck? Anyway, that could be the scene around here by morning.
Yes, maybe not that much snow.
But icy.
Icy is the concern for us. Freezing rain on the way for us, so we do have an alert day in the forecast for tonight. We're going to take a look at your future track in just a few minutes. So we have added alert day to the forecast for this evening and extending it into tomorrow morning because we do have some areas of freezing drizzle that'll be moving in tonight. That coupled with the possibility for some patchy fog early in the morning really could lead to some slippery roads tonight and early tomorrow morning. So that alert day is really in place for you to just take note for your drive home tonight and again for your Tuesday morning commute, just to give yourself a little extra time on the roads if you can, and go ahead and plan ahead for tomorrow morning. It may take you just a little longer to get into work. You're definitely going to have to go a little slower. Would much rather you go slowly and get there safely. Right now, we do have some flurries to the northern portion of the state. Not seeing anything for us just yet in southern Wisconsin. I was just outside, and again, I saw a few snowflakes kind of swirling around right now. Not really even in that flurries criteria just yet. But these areas of freezing drizzle are going to continue to move south, and as they do, they're going to be associated with a weak cold front. And again, the main concern there is a possibility for just an icy glaze on the roads or even for the sidewalks in the morning. That front is going to continue to move southeast, and as it does, our temps are going to drop just a little bit, but overall we don't have too much of a cool down as we look ahead for the next few days. Actually, compared to this time yesterday, Madison, we're at the same spot. To the west, it's a little cooler, a few degrees warmer to the east, but overall, again, fairly stable for us. Overnight, we're mostly cloudy, again, expecting those areas of freezing drizzle and freezing rain into tomorrow morning. It's not going to be a huge event coming through, but enough that the roads are going to be slippery. Tomorrow afternoon, our temperatures will be in the mid-30s for our afternoon highs. Again, going above average for us for your Tuesday. Mostly cloudy skies throughout the day, and then finally we clear out heading into Wednesday. Wednesday, we're expecting a partly sunny sky. It'll be a little better for us. Unfortunately, with this system, we're not picking up any more snowfall. The snow all to the south and to the north of us in Madison. Madison just falls in this eerily weird line cutting right through the middle of the Midwest right now. Unfortunately, not picking up much snow. Again, the concern is really just some slippery roads for us heading into tomorrow. So, of course, make sure you take off any ice off the car before you hit the roads on your windshield or any side windows, and avoid any accelerating or braking too hard. Of course, when the roads are skiddy or slippery outside, you definitely don't want to slam on the brakes. Overnight, temps are going to hold pretty steady to where we're at right now. We're expecting our low temperature close to 26. Tomorrow, again, 36 the high. Cloudy day with the chance for freezing drizzle, especially early in the morning. It's going to wrap up, though, early in the morning, not an all-day long event. The alert day is just in the forecast for tonight. Temperatures, notice, will be in the mid-30s again tomorrow, and then we drop a little closer to 30 for the next few days. We will be cooler by the end of the week, and we do have the opportunity to see some more light snowfall coming in for us by Friday, Saturday, and maybe even into Sunday morning. But overall, snow is just not the name of the game for us right now. We're about half of where we should be for the year, and all of it went to St. Louis.
Yeah, it's all around us.
It is all around us right now, cutting through northern Iowa over to Detroit.
All right, well, our time will come.
Eventually, we'll get there.
Dana, thank you.
Thanks, Dana. When we come back, we're going behind the wheel with Harvey Briggs.
We'll find out what he thinks of the 2019 Mazda CX-5 Signature Edition. Hold on to your wallets. That's what Live at 4 continues.
Well, competing against the likes of the Honda CR-V and Toyota's RAV4, the Mazda CX-5 tops the list of small crossovers.
We test drove a 2018 model last year, and our auto expert Harvey Briggs gave it top marks. Now for 2019, the CX-5, at least some trim levels of it, take this car to a new class. Let's go behind the wheel. So it's a 2019, but it looks sort of like the 2018
It
we
looks
did.
exactly like the 2018 we did.
Except Mazda has added 2 new trim levels to the CX-5 lineup, the Grand Touring Reserve and our test car, the top-of-the-line Signature model.
There's minor changes to the outside of the vehicle, some pretty interesting changes inside, and a really big change under the hood.
Under the hood is a 2.5-liter turbocharged inline-4, producing 250 horsepower, up from the 187 horses found on lower trim levels. And it doesn't stop with a bigger motor.
This Signature Edition, which includes all kinds of, premium options like Napa leather seats, they're heated and cooled. You've got all the navigation, all the tech, safety tech like adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, all that good stuff. But you're paying $39,000 for a Mazda CX-5. I know, $39,000.
Wow. Not exactly the wow factor they're looking for.
Mazda has decided that they can compete at the lower end of that premium level.
Vehicles like the Audi A3 or the BMW X3.
The X3 front-wheel drive starts at $41,000. This car, you get everything, all-wheel drive, all the power, all the, good interior, all the technology bits, everything else for a couple thousand less than a BMW that's the same size.
The signature Mazda CX-5 reflects a general sense of refinement. Harvey says it all seems to work together.
I'm really enjoying driving this car. It drives really well. With this Signature Edition, not only do you get a more powerful engine, you do have a sportier suspension tuning on this. The 6-speed automatic transmission has been retuned slightly to provide a little more performance as well.
The window stickers on these top-of-the-line models may be approaching premium pricing, but this CX-5 feels like a premium SUV.
You start loading up those BMW and Audis to this level of trim, and you're in the $55,000, $60,000 range. And so now with this, if I can get all that stuff and get 250 horsepower and get all the good stuff, there's kind of a compelling case to be made for this.
You think they're going to sell many?
No.
But it's making a statement.
And it's a good red. It's a good color.
Yes, it is. There's a price to pay for all that extra power, too. The Signature CX-5 gets 27 miles per gallon on the highway, 22 in town. Not great compared to the competition. And Harvey thought the infotainment system felt a little dated, but it does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto.
You do get a lot.
You do get a lot. I mean, it's loaded, completely loaded.
It's a nice-looking car, too.
Yeah,
really
doesn't
nice.
have that BMW, that kidney grill.
Yeah, right.
You pay for that, I guess. Well, when we come back, Gayle King's poignant interview with relatives of Jamie Claus.
They described to Gayle the moments they heard that Jamie was safe. That's when Live at 4 continues.
Well, CBS morning anchor Gayle King spoke to members of Jamie Kloss's relatives about the moment that they learned that she's been rescued.
It was their first television interview since they were reunited with Jamie.
I have to pinch myself that I woke up this morning and it's finally like I don't have that pit in the bottom of my stomach anymore.
It's such an overwhelming, amazing, happy ending to such a horrible beginning.
I still feel a little in shock. I just want to go over there every day to my mom's house and see Jamie. It's amazing to see her home.
Yeah, because your mom is the legal guardian now.
Yep.
Jamie's your cousin.
Yep.
Sort of now like a sister to you.
Yep. My new little sister. I actually told my mom is
she can't
through all
quit
this.
smiling.
Yeah. She can't quit smiling. Yeah.
No, and my mom her heart has been just broken since Jamie was gone. And now I told her, I said, I get my mom back. You are happy again. It's just the best thing I've ever seen.
Tell us how she's doing, guys, and how you're handling and preparing her. How is she doing?
Right now, the first step is surrounding her by love, making sure she's safe. She feels safe. She's doing pretty well. Mm-hmm. I spent the afternoon there yesterday. Mm-hmm. We had her smiling, laughing, going through things in her room.
How will you go about getting the answers to all of the questions that so many people have, and yourself included?
In due time, we have to take little steps. Jamie, when she's ready to talk, she will.
Mm-hmm. Nobody in the family is asking her what happened?
No.
All of the experts say you have to let them talk in due time, but I just wonder, as family members, there would be so much that I would want to know.
I know, you just want to know. It's but
yeah.
no, they're saying just let it come out. If she wants to be happy, let her be happy. If she wants to be sad, let her be sad. If she wants to be silly, let her be silly. You know, we got to let her call the shots right now.
Tell us how you each heard the news that she was okay.
My dad had to call my neighbor, and she comes screaming in my door. I'll never, ever forget her screaming, Sue, Sue, they found Jamie.
Are you all surprised by the strength? Because we keep hearing her described as shy and quiet.
I am.
You are.
I am.
Yeah. The thing I wanted to express to her immediately, and we all do, is the pride we have in her for doing this, for getting out, for making it, for the power that she has. You know, I mean, that she took the power away from this man, that she did this. I mean, it's just incredible. I mean, the strength that this little girl has and the pride that we have in her for it, and that's instantly what I thought.
I think there was the power of God behind it. All these people in this whole nation, the prayers that were said.
You know, there are grown people, I think, that would have been paralyzed in fear.
In fear, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We don't know what she went through, but to survive it and to get out of it, and to beat him in his own game, and to survive and get out of there, I mean, wow.
I look at all three of you sitting here today because as exciting and exhilarating as this is, there's also another very painful part, that your brother-in-law, your sister, your aunt is no longer with us. How do you handle those two thoughts at the same time?
We have backburnered their death. It's kind of how I've done it in my head. Yeah, it's like they were murdered, and it was shocking and horrible and hideous. But we didn't know we had this little girl that we couldn't find. We kind of said, okay, as horrible as that is, we got to put it here, and we got to find her, and we're going to get her. And I think that's partly why we didn't quit looking for her, because for them too, it was like, we will find her. You know,
there's a lot of questions. The big question is, where did he pick her out from to target?
Yeah.
Was it from a picture? Did he see her somewhere in public?
Yeah, how did you choose her, and
why? Yes.
Was she your obsession? Where did this come from?
And the other thing that's so troubling is that he had no connection to the family. And I'm sure you all have racked your brains about it. Did anybody know this guy?
Yeah, there's nothing.
Mr. Patterson will be making his first appearance in court. Do you all plan to go there?
I'll be there.
Yep.
Why do you want to be there?
Justice for Denise and Jim.
Yep.
Justice.
And for Jamie.
I'll make sure. I will be at everyone.
What will you think when you see him for the first time?
I'm sure anger, disgust. I want him to know that he messed with us as a unit, and that good wins. and that is not him.
And Lindsay, you work in the prison where he is,
I work in the jail, yes.
where he's being held?
Yes.
Have you seen him?
I have not, and I have talked to the sheriff, my jail captain, and they're doing what they can, and I will not deal with him. I can't.
What has touched you most about the outpouring? Because I would imagine people all around the country are reaching out to you.
I cannot believe all the things people want to do. Like the message that I got, wondering if we had some of Denise and James's clothes that they could get because they want to make Jamie a quilt.
Hairdressers that we know that have offered, bring Jamie in whenever you need to. You know, we'll clear out the salon. We'll do her hair. We'll do her
After
nails.
hours, yeah, so she
Yeah, we'll
doesn't
do
have
her.
to.
I mean, people are just giving and giving and giving. It's just incredible.
A tragedy bringing a community together.
Yep, the story continues.
It really does. All right, we'll be right back. Winter weather advisory.
We do have several of them actually have been issued throughout much of the area, and because of those advisories, we have added an alert day to the forecast for tonight and for tomorrow morning. We are going to have some freezing drizzle, and that could make some roads pretty slippery at times. So just a caution to you if you're getting ready to hit the roads this evening for any plans, or again for your commute tomorrow morning, as temperatures will stay below freezing tonight. It is going to be, it could be a little slippery for some areas. Tomorrow will be cloudy and temps will be in the mid-30s, so it'll be just a little warmer outside tomorrow afternoon.
I hate ice.
I know, but
It's
nobody
the worst.
likes ice.
It's the worst. All right,
It
Dana.
is.
Thank you. Coming up tomorrow here on Live at 4, Angie Horkin from the Wisconsin Beef Council has some great recipes to start the new year on a healthy note.
And Consumer Reports looks at the anti-aging power of fiber. It could be the key to staying youthful longer. That's coming up tomorrow on Live at 4.